on. Slow it down. I got something to say.
Hi guys. Thank you for tuning in to another Motivational Monday. I am sorry that I missed last week. I got really caught up with Father's Day, totally forgot about it, had to take a ride to Brooklyn, and so it was just a lot of craziness, but it was all for good reason, and so I could not make Motivational Monday last week, but we made it for this week, and that's what matters. And I'm going to start off with my quote. The world is heavy, but your bones, just a cubic inch, can hold 19,000 pounds. Ounce for ounce, they are stronger than steel. Atom for atom, you are more precious than diamonds. Stars have died so that you may live. Remember this the next time you feel weak or worthless. As the world is heavy, that is like my favorite quote ever. I read it every morning just to inspire myself and remind myself that I am capable and that I have a purpose. Even if that purpose is very small, it's still there. And so I wanted to get into loneliness as the category today to talk about. I had a very negative dream that had me waking up very panicked and very overwhelmed. And in this dream, it was very interesting because the thing that was what most people would consider negative, that would be a part of the dream that was very traumatizing, I felt little to no emotion because it's something that I've dealt with for a very long time. I personally have issues with suicidal idealizations, and it's something I've kind of worked through after a long period of time of understanding why I have them and where they come from. And so in this dream, something happened to me, and I was trying to express to the people around me that it had happened. And I was looking for somebody to have empathy for me in this dream. I was looking for somebody to be able to just vent to and let out what I had experienced in this dream. And ironically, the trauma part of it, I did not have an emotional reaction, but when people started to ignore me in the dream and started to basically not care about the trauma that I was going through and made me feel like I should just get over it, the dream started to turn into a nightmare. It started to feel really anxious and really negative, and it was crazy how the traumatic part of it really didn't affect me emotionally, but then the aftermath is what affected me emotionally, not feeling heard. It kind of made me dive into loneliness because I realized a lot of the time when I'm starting to experience these feelings, it's because I'm having very deep feelings of loneliness. So I have a song called Exiled, and in the song I have a line that says, "It's okay to be alone, but very different from being lonely." So to start off, loneliness is the state of being alone and sad about it. It's really important for us to understand the difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone itself, it's not a bad thing. It gives us time to get to know ourselves. It gives us time to decompress, to analyze and comprehend and store knowledge and experiences that we had. Being alone is very good for us physically, mentally, and spiritually. However, if you're being alone and you're sad and you're miserable and depressed every single time you're alone, then you're more experiencing loneliness. And if you're experiencing a lot of loneliness, a lot of the times, I think to kind of combat it is to start off with what is happening. Because a lot of the times, if you start focusing on habits, for an example, you can start actually like trickle effect, realizing how it's affecting your day on a daily basis. So for an example, you might be somebody who exercises a lot, or you're somebody who reads or does something, an activity or something to decompress or make you feel good or to motivate you throughout the day, even if it's like a facial routine, something. And so you might start seeing yourself slip on those things because you're not feeling as good as you normally do. And maybe you're not sleeping as good as you used to, or maybe you're not eating as well as you used to. And all of these things become telltale signs that you are starting to decline in your mental health. This is just for an example. I tend to be somebody who, when I start to get into a negative state of mind, I don't really smile that much. And I'm honestly the type of person who loves to smile. I think that for me personally, like that song, really is, I resonate with it because the reality is that I think when people are saying, "Oh, you look better with a smile," I don't think they're trying to say like, "Oh, you should be always be smiling and ignore your feelings," which is how we kind of interpret it and feel when we're not feeling good and someone tells us to smile. But I think that smiling is a sign of good health and well-being. You know, if you're smiling, you're experiencing happiness or joy, you are making good memories, you are spreading good energy. And I think in that sense, that's where for me, I love wearing a smile. I love feeling good. It makes me feel good when people smile at me or I smile at them. There's an exchange of positive energy there with complete strangers that now have connected us with just a smile. And I personally like that. I like feeling connected to a community. I like feeling like I'm part of something. And even if it's just like a small smile to say, hey, I see your existence and I appreciate you being here. Here's a smile, and feeling that back, I think that's a good feeling. So when I start to get depressed, I'm becoming something that I can become more aware of is my actions. Like realizing that I need to start taking action and changing something in my life so I don't feel this way. And I think it all starts to lead to just a big withdrawal in society. You know, I mean, I know for me personally, it starts with the smile, but after a while, I don't want to talk to people. And now I go to work and I'm not really happy. I'm not smiling. I'm not getting good energy back. And then that's turning into a cycle and I'm feeding off of that negative energy, which is making me feel worse. And then in the long run, I'm not making connections with people at my job. I'm not present. I'm not aware. Maybe if I'm not sleeping, I'm not able to actually like focus. So I'm not as good at my job. And in a lot of ways, it's a trickle effect, you know, because once you start with feeling that depression and then start having those habit changes, and then those habit changes turn into withdrawing from society, you can really turn into a really negative place and go into a very dark, deep place. And I think that's something I struggle with sometimes. And it's crazy how I don't really need to be triggered by anything. It's just who I am naturally. And that's why becoming aware of your habits and what you're experiencing, trying to understand these things on a logical point of view is the only way that I think I can kind of escape these negative feelings, because I can sit with them and say, okay, I understand why I have this, instead of just feeling it and then like feeding into it and becoming worse. Understanding what being alone versus being lonely really is. I also recognize that because I'm going through this, my acts of kindness decline. I start to become, just, I don't, I'm not present. So if someone's like talking to me about something, or they're maybe venting, or they're going through something, I'm not as present. I'm not able to communicate as well, or be able to be a leaning shoulder, or do the thing that they need me to do in that moment, whereas normally I would be able to. And it's all about like being the person that I want to be. I want to be the type of person who's there for my friends. I want to be the type of person who cares and does right by them. So I get upset when I'm not present and I'm not able to do that. And that's really what that comes down to. So if I start, one of the ways that I've noticed that I can start getting out of this state of mind is starting to like just do some type of act of kindness, whether it's going into society and just being with friends and talking and communicating and having a good time, whether the act of kindness is going and doing something nice for somebody or going an extra mile for somebody. In all of these scenarios, it's a situation where you're kind of stepping out of yourself and you're being a part of a community, or you're being a part of something other than yourself that can kind of lift you up to be higher. You know what I mean? It's like an accomplishment. Every single time you accomplish something, you're succeeding. So if that's the case, and going out and doing something kind for somebody just to help them accomplish something because you're not in the state of mind to be able to focus on yourself, that can help you get out of your own mind, so that when you do come back, you're feeling good. You have endorphins. You did something good that felt good. You helped somebody. And now you're able to go back in that and use that good energy to focus on yourself and start saying, okay, how can I apply this to myself? How can I start doing things back, get those good habits back, start doing things in a way that puts me in a better state of mind so I can be more productive, and so that I can pursue the things that I dream, my goals, the things that I long for. And as much as engaging in meaningful conversation with people is important, you have to remember that the first number one thing that's most important is being able to like you first. Being able to sit alone with yourself and talk to yourself and have communication with yourself and learn about yourself and figure out how to get past certain hurdles that you have. And that's very, very different from being lonely. So for an example, I'm going to bring out my handy dandy notebook because it's more like basic facts and terminology, and I don't want to mess that up. Loneliness is different from being alone. I separate them in two different ways. Loneliness as being objective, physical separation and action, and alone being subjective, distressed, and feeling the emotion. The reason why I categorized it like that is because I feel like when you are experiencing loneliness, you're experiencing more of a feeling like if you don't belong. Like if there's no action in this world that can make you feel like you have a place. Like maybe you're more of a burden because you aren't bringing anything to the table. And those negative emotions tend to brew while you're sitting alone by yourself, making you feel sad and depressed. And it becomes loneliness. Whereas when you're alone, I feel like you are more sitting with your emotions on who you are and how you can grow and what you can do to benefit your life, while also giving your brain time to compartmentalize and compress and understand all the emotions and the actions and the experiences and the knowledge that it's gotten within the time frame. And it's just giving your time a chance to sit with yourself and get to know yourself, confront any battles or any walls that you need to climb, anything like that, and break down those walls or climb those mountains, or however you want to look at it. It's being able to recognize your emotions and sit with them and be okay with them and grow from them. So the understanding that, I just wanted to put something here. So this is a something I read that I found very interesting. It says, loneliness acts as fertilizer for other diseases. Loneliness promotes several different types of wear and tear on the body. The biology of loneliness can accelerate the build of plaque in our arteries, help cancer cells grow, and speed and promote inflammation in brain, leading to Alzheimer's diseases. When they say the biology of loneliness can lead to these things, they're basically saying that if you're chronically always feeling lonely, that is a form of stress. That is a form of fear. That is a form of, fight or flight. It's all these things that can be going on at once because you're just feeling so alone, so lonely. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that there are physical reactions that you're always going through when you're experiencing these negative emotions, and they do impact you in the long run. Your body is only so resilient to handle your heart constantly pounding hard, your brain constantly scattering and wandering, and then stressing you out and causing more and more buildup of things that need to get done, of issues that are piling up, bills that need to get paid, whatever it might be. All of these things, and not sleeping well, not eating well, not having a healthy routine throughout the day, healthy habits, all these things lead to issues, chronic issues. And a lot of people, if you don't catch it at a younger age, it can then manifest into issues that are long life. No matter how much you turn around and try to fix it, you might have to deal with long life issues and or come to a place of death. And it's really sad to say it like that, but it's the truth. And I think it's something we need to really combat and realize what's going on, because it's not ending well for a lot of people. And it's sad because it's brilliant minds, it's beautiful souls that are losing their bright lights just due to this feeling of being alone and not feeling connected to a community or society, or feeling like they have nobody there for them. And it's not always easy to find someone that you connect with like that. But I think that having that hope and having that will and that strength to have motivations for yourself on connecting with yourself is enough, so that hope to find someone else is just like a nice bonus, I think is really the key and the goal to having successful, healthy relationships. Getting to know yourself, understanding what you need, and being able to express that in a healthy way. And then also being able to have enough confidence that you can give people what they need as well. If somebody has boundaries, if somebody has something that they have a problem with or they need in their lives, you're able to say, okay, I have no problem doing that. It doesn't affect me negatively. And for the ones that maybe it does affect you negatively and it just wouldn't work out, you move on and you let them find people who gravitate to them and they work, and you find people who work for you. And it's never has to be a hardship or a big battle. And yeah, there are going to be things that are a hardship and a big battle, because maybe it's more than that, but it's knowing that you can get through it. Hope that If you did it once, you can do it again. Maybe if you did it once, you can learn something from it and do it again even better next time. Things like that. So I want to end this segment saying, I want to end this segment. I said egg. I want to end this segment with the biology behind your loneliness. And these are just some interesting facts. So 28% of US adults live alone. That's approximately 13.8 million people in the US alone. So you got to think about that. A lot of people, whether they choose to or not, are living alone. And so all those people who might feel very alone in living alone, recognize that you are not alone in that. Okay? The things that can be happening when you're experiencing loneliness. It can be high blood pressure, obesity, anxiety, society isolation, cognitive decline, depression, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and on the more extreme level, taking your own life. Chronic health issues. Levels of cortisol can go up, stress hormones that can impair cognitive performances, compromise immune system, increase risk of vascular problems, inflammation, heart disease. And I just want to lean into this because it's so important. A lot of this stems from stress. Stress of not being able to accomplish something, stress of not being able to communicate, connect with somebody, not being able to make a relationship work, a job work, a life goal work. A lot of this is stress. Put this way. Basically, what I'm getting at is we are constantly going through some form of fear. And I think what's really important about recognizing where this fear comes from is that we are constantly being shoved now in a society where we're not trying to reach our community and the people around us, but we're trying to reach the world. We're trying to reach billions and billions of people because we want to be seen, we want to be heard. But the crazy part is those connections, those likes, those comments, those follows, those aren't meaningful connections. Those aren't things that in the real world, when you sit and you're alone, are going to stop you from feeling lonely. Those things aren't going to stop you in the real world from feeling unaccomplished, from feeling negative emotions, from having those negative reactions physically, from being emotionally distressed. I think when we sit down and we recognize that social media is a great thing to learn and to communicate and to spread, but not being able to do that in the real world, not on the online world, or the meta universe, but the real world is so much important for our health, for our well-being, for our ability to succeed, survive, get through life and do things and live and be successful and understand what successful even is for yourself. And that's why I wanted to go over loneliness for Motivational Monday. I wanted to go over loneliness to let everybody out there who might be experiencing some form of loneliness that I go through, worse or less. Any human out there? Any human out there? No. Okay. For any human out there that might be experiencing what I'm going through, I want them to just know that they're not alone in that. And that finding out their habits, what those habits are and how they're affecting you, I think can make a huge difference in your life. I think it can make a huge difference in being able to understand, yes, like getting through trauma and going over the hurdles of trauma is very important, but also being able to sit alone with yourself and liking yourself is so important to growth. So I hope you enjoyed today's Motivational Monday. See you next time, guys.
You're so close to your turn. Just keep fighting. Cause I know life gets hard. Bills and things can break you down. Every day it's like having a new thing shoved in your face. So easy to put your dreams in a box and your mind's addict and find a reason, an excuse to stop believing in magic. But it's all around you.